Breaking developments and Democrats push for answers on Jeffrey Epstein. Oversight Committee ranking member Robert Garcia and Congressman Ro Khanna have written to attorneys for Jeffrey Epstein's estate, seeking a, quote, complete, unredacted copy of the 2003 birthday book no later than August 10th, which may provide information essential to further our constitutionally obligated congressional oversight efforts. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that a body drawing bearing Trump's name was in an album of letters Epstein received for his 50th birthday in 2003. Trump has denied writing any letter and is suing the Journal over the story. NBC News has not independently confirmed the Journal's reporting. And Congressman Robert Garcia of California joins us now.
Congressman Garcia, good to see you. Why this specific ask?
Well, look, I mean, obviously, Donald Trump is out there saying that this letter doesn't exist, that he never wrote this note, that he somehow doesn't make, do these kinds of drawings or notes. We know that's ridiculous, of course. And so it's important that we get our hands on the actual birthday note, this card that was written. And we know that the Epstein estate has a copy of it. And so we've made that request. It may also be true that that very note is also in the actual Epstein files and documents that the DOJ has. Now, that, of course, has now been subpoenaed. And so we'll get that full set of documents. But if it's not, it's really important that we get the actual original that is with the Epstein estate. And so that's the request that Congressman Khanna and I have made. Obviously, he's a member of the Oversight Committee as well. And it's very important that we get that as we lead up to this deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Sounds like Congressman Comer agrees with you, or at least is prepared to go down this road with you. You don't need a lot of Republican help in order to get this to happen. You need some, because Speaker Mike Johnson has sort of absented himself from this discussion and has taken 200 plus of his members with him.
That's right. I mean, we got 3 Republicans to vote with the 5 Democrats on that subcommittee for the actual subpoena. And of course, they had no idea it was coming. I mean, we planned it out. We thought about it. We'd been planning it for about a week, and we got it done. We knew that they would come over because they had made public comments about releasing the files. And so it was a huge win for the American public and for transparency. And so if the Epstein estate does not send over this book and perhaps other documents we may ask for in the future, there's always that subpoena route. But we were hopeful that they want to work with us. There's been some indication that they do. And so that's where the track that we're on right now.
Congressman, I want you to take a listen to what Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, had to say about whether or not she will comply with your subpoena.
Well, Congress has subpoenaed her to testify. We have to make a decision about whether she will do that or not. That's been scheduled for the week of August 11th, and we haven't gotten back to them yet on whether we'll do that.
They have to make a decision. Your response, Congressman?
Well, we've actually been in touch. The Oversight Committee, the Democrats have been in touch with the attorneys, and both sides have. We feel that they are going to actually come forward, and we will have a deposition. I think that's likely. Obviously, what happens at that point is going to be up to them. But this is a bipartisan subpoena and request by the Congress. And so we expect her to do that. And I would hope that her team of lawyers understands that with all this attention that has been placed in her conversations with the DOJ, with essentially Trump's personal attorney, it's very important that she meets and sits down with not just Chairman Comer, but myself and our 2 committees, so that we're able to ask the questions that are necessary to get to the truth, which is also why it is so important that before that deposition or around that deposition, we also receive the full files, documents, and videos that we have now subpoenaed to the Department of Justice. We've got to be able to corroborate that information that she provides with the actual documents.
Congressman, what makes you so confident that you will end up sitting down with Ghislaine Maxwell? What exactly have they said to you that makes you feel this way?
Well, we've had some initial conversations between the legal teams and our folks on the committee, and so we are hopeful. I think she needs to do it. It's very clear this is a very serious situation that she is in, and so look, they're going to make their decisions, and then we will need to escalate if necessary. But she's been subpoenaed in a bipartisan way by the United States Congress, and so it is important that she shows up. They have selected that date and that week of August 11th. We are ready to be there. I am ready to be in Tallahassee on whatever day that they decide to select. And so it's very important that we move that forward. The pressure on this issue, not just on Trump, on her, on the entire case, is growing every single day. Republicans right now are back in their home districts, and they are being bombarded by their constituents about what they are doing to actually get these files and documents released. This is their central campaign issue. And so it's time that Donald Trump stop flip-flopping, stop betraying his base, and actually release the files and get transparency for the American public.
Congressman, it's pretty granular, the stuff that you're dealing with, and it's necessarily so. But let's pull back to about 50,000 feet here. What does success look like to you? If you get the documents you want and you get to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, what do you think happens?
Look, I think it's important that we always first and foremost center the victims. I mean, we have, as we know, young women, children in some cases, that have been horrifically abused, sexually tormented, and those individuals, those teenagers, those children need justice. And so let's really center first and foremost just the horrific crimes that were committed by Epstein, that were enabled and committed as well by Maxwell and so many others. And so that justice should guide our work. At the same time, we've got to also now hold Donald Trump accountable. If he's been saying as a campaign theme that he wants to have these files released to the public, and the whole MAGA universe has been saying the same thing, and then all of a sudden, in one day, he just changes his mind and does a complete flip-flop. The question is why? What is he hiding? And why are Republicans now so content on being complicit in this cover-up? There is a cover-up going on right now at the White House and the Department of Justice, and they are now interfering possibly with a pardon for Ms. Maxwell and other issues that are very concerning. And so true transparency for the American public is to release these files, ensure that they are out, declassified, that people can see the information for themselves. And what I've told everyone, we don't care how powerful you are, what party you're in, how much money you have, the influence you have in business or in politics. If you are in those files and you harmed young women and children, you must be held accountable.
So let's talk about the files. Under federal criminal law, if Congress votes to hold someone in contempt, the matter gets referred to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia for potential prosecution. Do you have faith that this DOJ will actually enforce a subpoena against itself?
Look, I think first, I don't have any faith in the Trump Department of Justice. I think that we've got to be very honest with ourselves, that we're dealing with really an unprecedented moment where the DOJ is no longer separate from the executive, from the White House, but is now an arm of the White House. And so that is a concern. I also know that there are some career lawyers, attorneys, folks not at the FBI, across the DOJ, that have interacted with these files, that know what is in them. There are people out there that are not just that are possible informants, but people that know how delicate this issue is and that want the truth released. And so we right now at this moment believe the DOJ has responsibility. There are subpoenas. It is incredibly serious that they respond to a bipartisan subpoena, and not just those that voted on it. James Comer himself and others are now beginning to say that, yes, this subpoena needs to be honored. And so we expect the DOJ of the Trump administration to do just that.
Congress has been, well, the House at least is definitely out for summer recess. What are the plans that Democrats have? I understand folks are going to want some rest and relaxation, but will there be town halls? What will the topics of those town halls be, if so? Obviously, Epstein is on the list, but there's so many other things, from Medicaid to the fact that prices are very high, which we were just discussing. I have to assume that you all are going to continue to beat that drum as well.
100%. First, there's no time for rest and relaxation. We have a country to save over here. We have our democracy is on the line. Healthcare is being ripped away. We got to work every single day to highlight what Donald Trump is doing to this country and to have a forward-looking agenda. And what I've been telling folks is, in this moment, we've got to talk about all of it. Donald Trump is ripping away, healthcare from 17 million Americans. We know that. He's giving tax breaks to billionaires. He's destroying our institutions, and public education is on the chopping block. All of this is true. At the same time, This is the most corrupt administration in history. And part of that corruption are his lies. And part of that corruption are the Epstein files. So if he can lie about this and betray his base about this, he's going to betray you about the healthcare. He's going to betray you on public education. He's going to betray you on taking away your rights for working class people and Americans. That is the center of this argument. And what I've been telling folks across our caucus is the Epstein files, which the American public are interested in, is about Donald Trump's betrayal to the American public and to this country. And it's about his corruption and his continued attack on this country. And so we're going to be out there. You're going to see us not just in town halls in our own districts. We're going to go to Republican districts, and we're going to demand there as well a release of the Epstein files.